Audio Jungle.
I am the Divine Prince, Ty Emmecca, Pan-African Spiritualist, Practitioner, Author, Advisor, Elagoon, Oloye, Hoodoo, Obeya, Bokur. I reside in this beautiful and legendary, historic Treme, New Orleans, Louisiana. So join me as I share food, music, culture, tradition, the rhythms, and the flavor of New Orleans voodoo. Respect the voodoo.
Honor and respect, greetings and salutations, one and all. It is another edition of Revolutionary Voodoo, New Orleans Voodoo Secrets and Recipes. Let me adjust my volume a little bit here. I'm getting some feedback. Remember that all is truly and indeed a blessing. If you can just see beyond the veils, for it is all just an illusion and a test. One of the greatest divine mysteries of this life cycle. This is Revolutionary Hoodoo, New Orleans Voodoo Secrets and Recipes, powered by NONVD, New Orleans National Voodoo Day 2026. We invite you to support us, join us, participate, donate, sponsor by visiting us at www.vodouday.org. That's www.voodooday.org. We look forward to hugging your neck and sharing in a sacred ceremony with you on next year in Congo Square, and certainly in this beautiful, historic, enchanted, some would say most haunted city in America, New Orleans, Louisiana. Thank my consistent listeners and participants for joining us here at 9 p.m. U.S. Central Standard Time for 30 minutes of Voodoos and Hoodoos with myself, Voodoo Chief the Divine Prince, Pan-African Spiritualist, Practitioner, Author, and Advisor, and my beloved Queen Mother, Sister Toni Val Martinez. Thank you for your consistency, your loyalty, and your support to this journey. Greetings and salutations to you and yours. How are you doing this evening?
Peace and blessings. I'm doing well, doing well. Hello out there, everyone. Nice to have you here. So glad you showed up, could take time out your busy lives to show up. I hope you're having a great evening. Yesterday, we left off on speaking of black cats, with the show being reduced to 30 minutes. Now we have to get a lot of information in a shorter period of time, or continue with the next day. And my question was, I believe, why do black cats get such a bad rap? Why are people so afraid of black cats, even when they are not afraid of cats?
Surprisingly, in my own experience, but also in my research on this very topic, the reasoning is very similar, or is in the same ballpark as to why people continue to be fearful, even in the face of positive reinforcing information about voodoo and hoodoo and what it is, but continue to sort of, relegate it to this realm of dark energy, dark magic, witchcraft, and the like. We understand the superstition associating black cats with bad luck and all things wicked are rooted in the European fear of darkness. In Celtic mythology, the cat Sith stole the souls of the recently deceased. And during the Middle Ages, devil-fearing Christians killed black cats because of their perceived proximity to, again, all things wicked, evil, darkness, and certainly the underworld. It was thought that cats had the ability to walk in and out of and intra-dimensional time and space, could become other things, could certainly be a witch masking as a feline. So this fear even carried over to the Salem witch trials when ownership of a black cat could be cited with charges of witchcraft. While pop culture still preserves this troubled legacy, much like we still preserve, the legacy that is Lala Ree in the French Quarter, who, tortured and maimed and mutilated enslaved Africans. Underground artists, however, particularly in the last century, have revived alternative traditions about the black cat, equally as old, if not older, thousands of years in age, that sort of reinforce the power, the virility, and the magic of cats, and particularly black cats, but in a more positive, um, positive way. So people still fear voodoo, people still fear hoodoo. And then when you ask them why, what is that based in? What stories, what experiences are you connecting that fear to? It typically goes back to Eurocentric infused fears, taboo, and even magic. Much of what people immediately associate stereotypically with hoodoo is really witchcraft and Eurocentric based magic. Even the use of black cat bones in hoodoo, people claim to use them for divination. People have claimed to use it for all sorts of cursing work, shadow work, dark magic. But again, that is not rooted in people's fear of cats per se, but the proverbial quote unquote black cat, which is again rooted in European ideology, European magic, and certainly European witchcraft. The pantheon of ancient Egyptian Kemetic deities included Bastet, the goddess of domesticality and fertility, who took the form of a black cat. And so generations of Egyptian artists portrayed Bastet differently as her mythos certainly continued to evolve, but to the point that crimes against cats were punishable by death. Some representations
Wow.
of cats have been more in this vein against the Western taboo that they are somehow wicked, evil shapeshifters, representing darkness, and all things, devilish.
I
What?
remember I
Mm,
remember when I was having my oldest two kids, and we had a lot of cats. We had a lot of farm animals too, and we had a lot of cats around our house, and certain cats were allowed to come inside. And one of the first things, I had never heard this before, was an older lady in my neighborhood telling me, "Oh, you don't let them cats in your house around them babies." I'm like, "Why?" And she was like, "Don't you know they suck the baby's soul out of them?" And I was like, "Really?" So I continued to let the cats were very protective and motherly toward my kids when they were newborn babies. They would get in the bed with them and lay next to them and sleep and raise up their head quick as they're protecting them if anybody came near the bed they was in or anything. And I watched carefully to see if I could see any kind of hint that the cat was trying to get up in my baby's face. One thing I did notice as my babies got a little older, the cats would try to suck their bottle. It's the milk.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Or maybe even
And
the smell of milk on the babies.
yeah, but most
Mm-hmm.
definitely none of my many cats that stayed in the house sucked the soul out of my kids. But that's what a lot of them believed. I heard that from more than one person when we would sit out together on our porches and talk. And they would be like, "You got all them cats, you better watch them babies." I said, "I know they'll suck I just was
Mm-hmm.
complacent at this time. I know they'll suck their soul out of them, suck the breath out of them." But I think the cat also is a different, it's not, I think the thing that males didn't like about cats is that they couldn't be controlled
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
like dogs. And like a lot of women, and I can see why they would associate cats with witches, but
Right.
they couldn't control them. I mean, you can't tell a cat to sit and get and move. Cat look at you like, man, I move when I get ready to move. And then they sleekness and their ability to just do the things that they can do, like jump from high places without getting hurt. Dogs couldn't do that. Other animals that people tend to had kept back in those days close to home couldn't do those feats.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You
And,
know,
and and similarly, I didn't mean to interrupt.
no, go ahead.
And similarly, the fear of voodoo, the fear of hoodoo, and conjure, we are learning more and more every day. It's rooted in the fear of revolution, rebellion, us refusing to lay down, us refusing to play along anymore, and that fear continues. So I agree with you. Feline disobedience is associated with cats, in the Western mindset. So the notions that nature serves humanity and therefore disrupts um, cats disrupt a sense of order, a sense of control, don't give up their autonomy, became associated with the industrial workers of the World Organization, for example, which uses a black cat, the Sab Kitty or the Sabo Tabby as their icon for sabotage. And similarly, the Black Panthers named their party after an animal that only attacks when provoked. So you're certainly on to something in its, association to women, but also association to what the Yoruba might call iyami, that sacred and mysterious power of women, so powerful that it can be considered as witchcraft in some people's, eyes, and that association being carried with the cat, the witch, the pointy nose, the pointy hat, the black cat, you
Yeah,
know. So there's
yeah.
definitely a connection there.
But the cat definitely has played, the black cat specifically has played a major role in spirituality more than any animal that I'm aware of in association with, you know, witchcraft, voodoo, hoodoo, or whatever. Um, to me, a black cat doesn't act any different than any other cats. God knows I had enough of them. But
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the fear of blackness.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Black period, because all cats basically, the cultures that, I want to use a word, but I'm just gonna say love or respected the color black. darkness, like the Egyptians, black cats were revered in colors that disrespected the darkness until it came to the garb of ministers and judges, because they were to be feared. They wore black. Those cultures, the black cat is bad, but a black cat is no different than any other cat in their way they act and the things that they do. You know,
And
so
certainly
my
they
thing
would have
is it's the
served
blackness.
and certainly they would have been, served a purpose, for much like they serve the purpose in New Orleans today for animal control and, keeping the rodents down. So the symbolism of the black, and the symbolism of the cat both have their roots in Western Eurocentric ideology. And certainly that goes back to, the Middle Ages and quite possibly even times before, where black cats, were already beginning to be written into their mythos, their legends, their storytelling. I can remember, back in the day anyway, the older folk in my family, and certainly, sitting at the foot of those born on the continent, hearing of stories of, all sorts of animals, not just cats, communicating with humans, having some sort of, symbiotic, uh, helpful or protective or even warning nature with humans. And so again, in my study and in my experience, you really don't begin to see that wicked, evil connotation with either black or cats until the Middle Passage, until colonization, until the missionaries begin to go out and prepare the world for colonization, first through the mind and through the heart and through that process.
This from the obvious that animals can bite you and scratch you and do you harm. When I was younger, I had a fear of dogs that were the hound breed because of their death howl. I don't know how many of y'all know about this, but let me tell you, I witnessed it. A dog howling. Not the howling at the moon, not the howling behind the police sirens that hurts their ears. That long, drawn out moan that they would do. And it sent shivers up my spine. And my mama told me that that was a death howl. And that meant that somebody in the area was going to die. And the dog howled 3 nights, and on the 3rd night, the person would die. And I would ask, how you know who gonna die? And she was like, you can't really tell, but look at the way the dog is facing when he's howling, and death is in that direction. And all I wanted to know was, how did this dog know this? Because indeed it would happen. It honestly would happen on that 3rd night, that 4th morning. Somebody in our community was deceased. I made it my business to look at the direction that the dog snout was pointed. And then I read in an older Bible about Passover, when it says in that magical book, when Pharaoh had released the curse that all the firstborn of the Hebrews shall die, and they marked the lamb's blood on their door. In this particular Bible, they asked Moses, how would they know when death was coming? And Moses replied, it would be on the heels of a howling dog. So when the dog was howling, that's how they knew death was near and to get prepared. And that just kind of like freaked me out right there. Because, yeah, how dogs know death is coming? Do they see it? Can they smell it? What's up with that? But that
And
goes back to you saying how nature gives us warnings.
mhm.
We just need to know what they're warning us. What is this for? And to this day, if I hear a dog howling, I get terrible anxiety. Terrible
Mhm.
anxiety. But now since Katrina and we don't have a lot of yard dogs anymore, everybody, dogs are in their house and on leashes and stuff. I haven't heard that for years.
I've
But
also wondered if it's a frequency thing, or are the dogs sort of tapping a particular frequency? And I say that because, growing up where I grew up in the DMV, in the suburbs, PG County, a lot of people had dogs. We still had, a certain amount of traffic and, stores and shopping center, but still a lot of people had yards and had dogs, and we still had some, accessible green spaces. So there were a lot of dogs, and you would often hear that death howl also in association with sirens, and
no, that's a different
not
howl.
necessarily police sirens, but particularly like the trouble wagon or even ambulance. And so I begin to wonder if it's even a frequency thing that the dogs could be sort of tapping. Not just, they're responding to us to the sound of that, but to a frequency that could be happening,
Yeah,
when
like that
something
is that
tragic
like they
is
dog
happening.
whistle.
Hmm.
We can't hear it, but they can because of the frequency. But it's a lot into you have to most definitely study nature also and learn to
Hmm.
read nature. I had the good chance of being an outside child with a mother who was a teacher. Like she would tell me, look at all the caterpillars under the leaf. Instead of on top of the leaf, they were under the leaf. She would tell me that's because it's going to rain.
Hmm. Hmm.
And they were getting out the rain.
Hmm.
She would
Yeah.
use a lot of things going on that she could show me as teaching moments, you know, when that
When the last
caterpillar.
time you seen and when's the last time you seen a lightning bug?
Not since I was in Memphis.
Okay.
Not since I was in Memphis, Tennessee. Definitely not in the city.
Hmm. I remember capturing lightning bugs as a kid and collecting them in jars.
Me too. But I haven't seen them. By the time I saw him in Memphis, and my youngest daughter was seeing them because, like I said, we didn't see him pre-Katrina in where we live in the Seventh Ward either, and they were a wonderment to her to just see them, and wow, look at
You,
that.
you know what else we did? And I can't tell you where we got the idea from. We crush them and use them for makeup.
Oh, wow.
And not like, fashion makeup, but like warrior makeup. And we smear it
Oh,
on our face almost like the football players do with the
yeah,
black
under their
makeup.
eyes.
But we would use the remnants from the lightning bugs.
Wow.
I don't know, maybe that was some ancestral memory triggered. I don't know. Oh, and before we run out of time, I want to take a moment to say she's back. I'm talking about the beloved Iyanla Van Zandt. Some of y'all might remember when she did, Fix My Life, and she kind of, quit the whole thing in frustration. She particularly had issue with, how people were sort of responding to her and her demonstration in social media. So this is what I'm gonna do. Give me a moment.
I remember when I was doing Fix My Life and I would read the comments in social media, and people used to say, she is so mean, or she is too harsh, or why she gotta be like that? And that's because we've become accustomed to people telling us what we want to hear because they don't know how to tell us what we need to hear. We set our lives up so that people won't tell us the truth. And by us not knowing the truth about how we're showing up, about us not knowing the truth about what we need to do and what we no longer need to do, many of us are sleepwalking. We're walking around in a daze and in a haze. So I'm gonna risk being mean and tell you the truth. And that's why I'm engaging in awakening 1 million people to the truth of their being, awakening 1 million people to the things they need to stop doing and the things they need to do in order to eliminate suffering and struggle and just existing in their life. Are you ready to wake up?
Oh, my mic. And yes, she'll be back on April 19th. Now I know some of y'all might be happy and some of y'all are not happy. And I'm not asking you to pick a side. I'm just spreading the word and carrying the message that she will be back. Uh, and let me correct myself. I have chosen a side. I just think it's implied. Um, I've talked about it off and on over the years. The goddess might remember. It can be hard mentoring. It can be hard initiating. It can be hard uh, instructing and teaching hoodoo, voodoo, root work, conjure from its most authentic place because of that very thing that she just talked about. People not wanting to hear the truth, not wanting to experience the truth, in all of its multi-dimensional manifestations. It's one thing to think the truth and to say we know the truth. It's a whole nother thing to sort of demonstrate that, act in that. And so I appreciate Iyanla. I appreciate her journey. I've learned some really important things about the vocation of ministry through her demonstration. And I just invite you all to check her out. April 19th, she will be returning. Now, I don't know what network, what outlet. I may have missed that in the TikTok video, but she did say April 19th. So I will be looking forward to that. I appreciate all of you who appreciate us and show up every night at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time and whatever time it might be in your neck of the woods to be a part of this shared sacred space. And I continue to invite you to participate, join, donate, um, sponsor, promote our third annual New Orleans National Voodoo Day. 2026. We will have updated website in coming days, but our website is still active. You still can operate within the website as you always have, but we will be updating with coming information for 2026 in days and weeks to come. We certainly invite you to continue to support National New Orleans Voodoo Day. We also invite our Haitian Voodoo community, our West African Voodoo community, whether you speak French or French and English, or some combination of other languages. We certainly invite you to come and participate in this podcast, share your experience, share your information. We seek to create a safe space where we can continue to dispel the myths and the misinformation about voodoo, but also allow people to have authentic access to voodoo in its global Pan African demonstration. We know there is Haitian voodoo, Louisiana voodoo, certainly Dominican voodoo, Brazilian demonstration of voodoo, and that which is West African and its various ethnic, cultural distinctions. So we want to continue to grow this space where we can share our experience, in some cases, share our ignorance, be educated, and be willing to sometimes be re-educated about the authentic demonstration of voodoo. So as the Queen Mother offered on last night, we seek your participation. We seek your utilizing your webcams and your microphones. We certainly appreciate your typed questions and comments in the chat. And by all means, like, share, subscribe, and copy and paste the URL for the YouTube archive or for the actual StreamYard Live link, and invite others to continue to add to participate in this conversation. This conversation is created for Voodoo by Voodoo worldwide, and certainly beginning with me, beginning with us in this space. And we want to continue to invite others to come and share and participate in this space. So again, I appreciate you all. I'm grateful for each and every one of your participation, your support, your sponsorship, your donations, your volunteering as it relates to this platform, House of the Divine Prince, and certainly New Orleans National Voodoo Day. We're going to have Sister Toni Val, as she closes, also remind you about our Facebook group and invite you to also join us there. So signing off, remembering that all is truly and indeed a blessing if you can see beyond the veils, and no matter what you do, no matter what you're confronted with, no matter what you face, respect the voodoo. No matter what you do, respect the voodoo. Odabo.
Yes, and you can find a lot of information about New Orleans history as it pertains to voodoo and other magical events on Black New Orleans then and now on Facebook. And I'd like to wish you all a good night, and may the Orisha guide you. Good night, everybody.
Talk to me nice, I get sensitive. Choice of your words to convey. Your intentions might mean the best, but it's in your approach and delivery. I get so through by my triggers, probably from niggas who thought that they own me. Really consider that I do, you do, we do good on our own. Back on my throne, like, yeah. Accept me at my worst, like you do my best. Better than I was last year. I've been facing tests, separate from the rest. Hope you're facing all your fears. I've been going so damn hard. It's been taking all this time. Giving up ain't in my blood. It's all in the signs. It's all in the signs. All in the signs. It's 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 all in the signs. I'm so nice, everybody's type. Eyes on the clock of my demise. Don't you fall into the quicksand. It's better on the cement. Telling no story, no power in your past. Even if you're 30, gotta make it last. I do, you do, we do good on our own. Back on my throne like yeah. Accept me at my worst, like you do my best. Better than I was last year. I've been facing tests, separate from the rest. Hope you're facing all your fears. I've been going so damn hard. It's been taking all this time. Giving up ain't in my blood. It's all in the signs. It's all in the signs. All in the signs. It's all in the signs. It's all in the signs.